Hello the boys and girls, ladies, gentlemen, whatever enterprise, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to talk about a fight coming up on Misfits 08 that really is much more than meets the eye. AT versus Paul Bamba looks like an ordinary fight with Paul trying to redeem himself and AT going back to fighting pro boxers, but one man makes this fight much more interesting, makes it such that this fight could lead to much bigger things, and he goes by the name of Chris Avila. For Paul, this could be a potential rematch with Chris if he wins. Maybe not, he could even go somewhere else. But this really becomes important because of Anthony Pretty Boy Taylor. Let's go back in time to January 25th, 2020, to Bellator 238. Anthony defeats Chris Avila by majority decision in their first bout, an MMA fight. Yes, if you didn't know this, AT and Chris used to be MMA fighters. AT fought primarily on Bellator. Chris has fought all around the place, on Bellator, on PFL, on the UFC a little bit. Both of them used to be lightweights. Fast forward about 2 years to Jake Paul versus 𝙈𝙐𝘾𝙃 2. Both of them have transitioned from MMA fighters to crossover boxers. Both of them fighting professional boxers as well as influencers. Really, crossover. On the prelim show of Jake Paul versus 𝙈𝙁𝘾𝙃 2, Chris Avila gets the chance to run it back in a boxing match with AT. Despite being an underdog for this fight, Chris wins across the 8 rounds by decision, rather convincingly. Fast forward again to 2023, Misfits 06, and Chris Avila fights pro 5-2 boxer Paul Bamba, puts an absolute beating on him across 4 rounds, really making a statement and making himself known to the Misfits audience. So fast forward another month to Misfits 07, and AT redeems himself after his loss to 12-0 boxer Idris Virgo by beating Papi in a match where he wasn't a heavy underdog, but probably like a plus 100 underdog compared to Papi's slick counter-striking style. But AT had the right game plan, executed it, won, celebrated as like hell, but he deserved it. Now let's look at both of their next fights. On Misfits 08, July 22nd, Nashville, AT is scheduled to fight the same Paul Bamba that Chris Avila put a beating on in 006. But wait, I've been dissing Paul too much. Let's not underestimate him. He is a pro boxer looking for redemption, but if AT beats him, that puts him in a position to call out Chris to a boxing match, as the score right now stands at 1-1. Exactly 2 weeks later, on August 5th, Chris Avila is set to fight an opponent that we don't know yet on the undercard of Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. And if he wins that, well, if the stars align for both of them, we could be seeing a rematch with a great story behind it. And that's why there's a lot more than meets the eye to Anthony Taylor versus Paul Bamba.